All right, let's be clear on this. That rebel flag with the X on it, I need y'all to know something. I want y'all to do some research. It's going to be a little bit difficult to find, but I need you to dig on this. But that rebel flag originally was an Indian flag. That flag, all y'all melanated people upset about, y'all like, oh, they hate on us. They trying to get rid of the black people when they rolling that rebel flag. And then you got Albans riding around with that on the back of their truck. I need y'all to be clear on something. That originally was an Indian flag. And y'all remember that the Indians, when we're talking about your 5 civilized tribes, they participated in slavery. And who were those slaves? They were Albans, mainly Alban children. Look it up. Look up the fact that the 5 civilized tribes, they owned slaves. Then what you're going to find is a law came into effect saying that Indians could no longer own Christian slaves. Well, who were the Christian slaves? Those were your Albans. Do some research on this stuff I'm telling you about. So I'm helping you to understand that the Indians partook in slavery. And their whole thing was they knew, as well as the elite Moors that had come into the land, they knew that who the Albans were. They knew they had been grafted. They were never supposed to be citizens in the first place. So they partook in enslaving the Alban just as much as the Moors that had come into the land as well. All right. So then when we get to this flag here that's known as the rebel flag, this was the Indians' flag. And I need y'all to understand they were a part of saying, hey, these Albans are not supposed to ever be able to vote. This was a part of that. I need y'all to understand something too. When we start talking about republic, or especially, see, everything has been switched around. But when we start talking about republic or Confederate, we're talking about the Indians, because there's a Confederate Indian organization. I want y'all to go and find in the document called unarepublic.com/DOCS. There's a letter in there. It's called the Confederate Indian Council Letter of 1786. Go and check it out. That's where the Indians were sending a notice to the United States of America. Who was running it? It was melanated Moors. This is before George Washington came in. This is before George Washington. And this is the Indians, the ancestors speaking. And they're telling the people who were running the United States of America. You had the Moroccans in here who had come in here and started seizing the ships. Those were melanated people. You had the elite Moors who were not even a part of Morocco. They just came in and they the ones who established the United States of America. They were melanated. Then you got these British coming over here. They want y'all to think they were Albans. But the truth is that I told y'all the original royalty was melanated. And when we start talking about the Queen of England, she was melanated all the way up to the mid-1800s. They were amalgamated. They had started sleeping with the Alban, but they were still melanated. When you talk about George Washington and you talk about Abraham Lincoln, both of those people were melanated, and everybody in between them was melanated. And all of this whole group was direct descendants of the Queen of England, who was melanated. But they're trying to make you think all these people were Albans. Once again, we talk about the period of Reconstruction, where people have written themselves into places where they were not. And then they give you a history of who melanated people were. And as long as you believe that the only thing you came from was a slave, then that's going to be in your future. If I can create your past to be garbage and doo-doo, then I can make sure your future is garbage and doo-doo, because that's all you believe that you're worthy of. But if they tell the truth, when you talking about Santa Claus, you be like, wait a minute, Santa Claus was black? Well, then that means he is me. He is representative of me. And if they can tell you that everything that you did, you never did anything, you never had any kind of addition to this land, or you never did anything to help, to create or build, then as long as you believe that, then that's going to be in your future. So why am I here telling what the facts are about the history? Well, because they don't want you to know who the original Europeans were, because it doesn't go with their narrative that you came in here as a slave. Then they also want to give you the term indentured servant. Oh, the Albans, they were just, the white people were, and then they keep calling them white when they was never white. They don't tell you the truth about what the term white means. And the fact that they just start calling themselves white within the last 80, 90 years. Before that, they was not calling themselves white. They say where they from. Oh, I'm Italian, I'm Sicilian, or I'm German, or I'm Irish. They didn't say white, because white didn't have anything to do with them. So now we got this situation where these people, and again, I don't have no issue with my light-skinned people, my Albans. I love them. They're my children. They are our children. They come from us. But we got to tell the truth, because people get upset about what the facts are. And as I've said, they say, oh, you're being separatist. Let me make this clear. There will be no unity until the truth is told. You can't unite with somebody if you don't understand who they are, where they came from. If you try to unite with somebody, you don't even understand what their spiritual essence is. You don't understand who they are and what they're likely to do to you. So if you want to unite, be willing to know what the truth is. I can unite with Alban because I know who they are. I get it. I can unite with a brown person. But see, some of y'all be trying to unite with a brown person, and the truth is the Alban is the one that's been by your side the whole time. You're trying to look at skin color. I'm trying to tell you there's a spiritual essence going on underneath this whole thing. And once you get that, once you get the truth and understand what is happening, who these people are that are showing up in your third dimension, then you can unite with them better, because you understand who you're dealing with. Okay, going on to it. Now, make sure I made all my points on that rebel flag. And we're understanding that comes from your Confederate Indians. That's where that flag comes from, the Confederate Indian Council. But some kind of way the Indian got dropped off of there, and it's just the Confederates. Somebody lied to us. It was a whole bunch of brown people in here fighting against each other. And once you get all these melanated folks fighting, they don't know who's who. Then you got Albans that come in, the daughters of the American Revolution, that rose up against the Moors. See, let me make this clear so we can understand what happened at this time. We're talking about the mid-1800s. We had the Moors in here that had shut down and seized the ports, and they was inviting other people to come into the land. The Moroccans is what I'm saying, and other Moors. But they had other people, they were inviting other people to come into the land and do business. And the way they would have payment is by concubine women as slaves. And so what happened was, when these other countries would send these women in here, they trained them in war, in weapons, in armory, in fighting. So they come in here ready and prepared to rise up. That they were Trojan horses is what they were. So then they know, okay, well, they want some booty. They want to be able to get with the Alban women, so let's train them. And so they sent these women over here as warriors. And then you got all these melanated people fighting. Well, it was easy for them. It was easy for them to take over at this point, because there is no unity. So when they come in, and they fight the Moors and everything else, again, we still here to this day talking about we need to join together as black people. We are all the same people. But we not, because y'all want to forget that it was the so-called Moors that came into the land and enslaved the whole Indians. That's why I want y'all to look up this letter, because this letter is telling you about what they did to the Indians. When the Moors came in here, they degraded the status of the original people of the land, the so-called Indians. So we're understanding that Confederate flag. Well, who were the Confederates? Well, the Confederate Indian Council. And that flag was originally an Indian flag. And we want to remember that these people, these Indians, they partook in enslaving Albans. And so now this thing has switched 180 degrees where the Albion is up here flying this flag. Yeah! Okay, wait a minute. That flag wasn't for y'all. As a matter of fact, the people who created that flag, they were for your enslavement as an Albion. And then the melanated people who all upset with the Albions, y'all not even understanding that that flag was not against you. It wasn't. Originally, it was about, hey, these people not supposed to be citizens. Y'all the main ones talking about, these Albions, they need to get out the land. What? Why are you getting rid of the flag that was established for that purpose? Okay. History. They just switching it 180 degrees. And if you don't know your history, what do they say? You're doomed to repeat it because it continues to change. It continues to do this. And so if you don't want to be repeating this mess, you need to, first of all, recognize what the history is, understand how it came to be that way. Otherwise, you're going to repeat this again. All right? You, Diva Lyri, won't be doing it because I get it. But y'all get to repeat this again if you choose to not know the facts about history.